Hi, my name is Greg Getter. I'm a product manager at Yoda One, and today I want to give you 3 tips for maximizing your success on calls. These could be internal calls, like a call between you and me, or it could be a sales call with somebody external to Yoda One. The principles are the same, and they're equally important whether they're internal or external, but I want to set you up for success. So let's dive right into tip 1. The first thing that you absolutely must do is show up for your calls on time. Now, as a global workforce, it can be hard to sync up all the time zones, but we do use tools like Calendly that can make it easy to make sure that we are all on the same page when we're selecting time zones. You may want to confirm with the client if it seems like they booked an odd time for their call. Once you're both on the same page about the time of your call, it's absolutely critical that you show up on time. And if you can't make it, you have to over-communicate with the client or the person you're meeting with. So let's just say that something comes up and there's an emergency where you can't access the internet. Well, you need to do everything you can to tell the other person that you're not going to be able to make it to the call. Can we please reschedule, or can you please wait for 5 minutes? But better yet, you really want to make sure you're at the call on time. I recommend showing up to a call 5 to 10 minutes earlier. If you have a lot of connection issues with your internet, you probably want to show up even earlier than that. You want to be ready for when the person comes on so that they're not waiting for you. The second thing that you absolutely must do on every call is make yourself look presentable. Now this boils down to 2 things: your professional appearance and lighting. So let's talk about your appearance first. At Yoda One, we're a relatively casual company, so you won't see a lot of us wearing button-up shirts or ties. That usually doesn't happen. And we're not saying that you have to wear a button-up shirt either, but you do have to wear a shirt. You do have to have a clean shirt. You don't want to have anything offensive on your shirt. You should think that, hey, we're a company that is interacting with many cultures, and you want to make sure that somebody would not perceive your visual appearance as offensive. You also want to look relatively kempt. Make sure your hair looks good. Just make sure you look like a friendly, kind, professional person. The second aspect of visual appearance that's really important is lighting. Now here in my video studio, I actually have quite a fancy lighting setup that makes me look pretty good on video. And that's overkill for video calls. You don't need to have that level of professionalism. You don't have to look like you're going on TV, but you do have to be well lit. So if it's nighttime or you're indoors, make sure that you have enough overhead lighting or at least side lighting so that your face is lit up. Nothing is worse than seeing somebody in a dark room. If you're outside, you want to make sure that the background is not very visually distracting and you're not overlit. Sometimes the lighting can be too bright outside. I want to throw in one more quick tip about visual appearance, and that is the position of your camera. A lot of us, especially when we're on our phones, might hold the phone down here because that's what's most natural. But to the person on the other end, that's a very unflattering appearance to look up at your chin and your nose. So it's better if you're going to use your phone to hold the phone up around at eye level, and you want to keep things relatively steady. It's even better if you're able to use a laptop and you're able to put it on a desk or prop it up so that the camera is at your eye level. Think about how would it look if somebody else were looking at me face to face. That's what you want to try to emulate. The last thing I want to talk about when you're having calls with people is to think about your sound. Now again, I have quite a fancy sound setup here to make my voice sound quite flattering, and you don't need to go to such great lengths to have a great sound. But there are 2 things that you should pay attention to. The first is the quality of your microphone. Now, it doesn't have to be anything fancy, but if you make calls, if you do a test call and there are scratching sounds or the sound cuts in and out, you need to find a different microphone solution because it's very annoying to the person on the other end. The other thing that you absolutely must consider is background sounds. So if you live in a loud city where there are a lot of sirens or cars honking or engines running, you gotta find an indoor environment. Same if it's windy outside, you gotta go inside. And even indoors, you wanna make sure it's quiet. So no music playing in the background, no people talking. All of these things distract from the quality of how the person is perceiving you on the other end, and it will reflect poorly on your ability to have a successful call. So those are my 3 tips on ensuring you have a great call. Again, to recap, the first is that you absolutely must show up on time, if not ahead of time. The second is that you have to make yourself look presentable. So that both has to do with your visual appearance and the clothing you wear and how your hair looks, and it has to do with how well lit you are. Finally, you've got to consider the sound. You have to be in a quiet place, and you have to make sure that your microphone is decent enough quality so it's not detracting from the conversation. Thanks so much for watching, and I wish you all the success in your calls at Yoda One and beyond.